All right, guys, we're back with another episode of Just Context, episode 8. Um, guys, I have something a little bit personal, so I'm guess I will be going in and out of context. With this one, I want to say let's start off first before and it's to be put in context and taken out of context is Chadwick Boseman today, and among other things. So I guess I will start there, and that's going to be along with Adele as well. But uh, I would like to say this. Let's start with say people should get their roses while they're alive before they pass away. Um, and the reason why I said that because I remember a couple months ago when Chadwick Boseman was he posted a video. It was talking about baseball, something to do with baseball in reference, and I think if I remember, I think the team was it was for it wasn't for a protesting, so don't judge me on that. I think I remember it was for their scrubs that they were wearing, and he posted a video, and that's when everybody saw him and saw what he looked like at the moment, and the concern was hit. It was hit in different ways, and you know how guys how social media takes things. It goes in so many different ways. Some people was concerned about his health. Some people was like, well, is he on drugs? Is he a drug addict? And before I guess I take it further, I would like to say, people, check on your friends in different ways. Janelle is my wife's best friend, and I can say this: if I'm in the house and I don't hear them talk to each other for like a day or two, personally I look over and be like, "Yo, how's Jet?" Because that's my nickname for Janelle, right? Like, how's Jet doing? And she's like, "Oh well," she texts me and she talks to me, blase blase, and that's based on the fact that I personally don't physically hear them talking. Now, in me saying that, when you see something that's out of place, before people judge, right? I think sometimes it should takes us back to the source, right? And then again, I'm not saying you're gonna always find the information you're looking for because we all got personal battles that we go through that we may not want to talk about in that period of time, right? And to see his story and for me to come to realize what he was going through on his journey through his situation, right? It it breaks my it's not saying it breaks my heart. It makes it feel like for some people out here in this world who's not trying to not trying to make a difference or not or I'm saying who's not having the opportunity to live life or want to live life, please do so when you have the opportunity. I'm not saying go jump off a bridge. I'm not saying if you're sick, go out there and put yourself in harm's way. I would like for you to enjoy life just a tad bit. Wouldn't you say so, Janelle?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like um, Chadwick's passing has just brought up so many emotions. I mean, I have friends who have already told me that it made them look at their medical situation and be like, I need to go to the doctor. I need to get checked. I need to, make sure everything's okay. Um, it was just another tragedy for the culture, basically. Everyone was in their feelings, definitely feeling like life is short. There are people on the timeline that I personally came across saying, I want to check on this person, but like, I'm not really sure if I want to because we haven't spoken in forever. And it was just like, girl, do it. Like, just check on them. um, at the end of the day, pride will disappear. Like, pride isn't always there. And when pride disappears, you're left with regret. Um, yeah, I mean, a lot of lessons I think can be learned, brought up from this entire situation. Another big one that was circulating on social media was, you never know what people are going through behind the scenes. Like, don't, bully people for their appearance. Um, I mean, social media to me is just a bunch of crap. It's really just, what's trending, what can I talk about to get some likes and retweets and comments. And um, I'm honestly sick of it. Like, I'm tired of hearing the same spiel every time something like that happens. Like, you never know, and be kind to others, and you don't know what's happening at home, and you don't know what people are burdened with, and just be nice. But like, social media is almost built off of bullying and just being disgusting individuals behind the computer screen because you can. Um, I have personally made it my individual goal that if I see bullying on the timeline, or if I see people being disgusting to somebody for no good reason, just like they were with Chadwick, um, that I would just block it off of my timeline. Like, I'm tired of talking at this point. I think it's important to monitor what you're seeing and what you're experiencing, and what you feel is abnormal should not be something that's coming into contact with you. Like, you need to protect your space. Because the same people that we're talking about, be kind and you never know what people are going through, literally the next day were bullying LeBron for what his head looked like.
Facts.
Like, I'm just tired of social media and its crap.
And
I feel like you're.
no, no, continue, because I was going to say something based on what you said. That even so, because some of the same people them who are doing the bullying are, I would say, given that negative picture narrative, they really can't take the same thing that they're dishing out. And I guess that would be something I touch on later in as well. But that is it is a lot to say that. You know what I mean? Because when you talk about the bullying, um, I'm not sure. Have you ever heard the Will Smith song with, or sorry, Jonah Lewis with Will Smith?
Um,
You know, where he was like, "Yo, I'm feeling like Will," you know, and he was basically saying how much Will Smith was an inspiration to him growing up. You never heard the song, Janelle?
doesn't ring a bell.
Does it ring a bell? All right, so what happened is it's a quite popular song, and the reason why I'm actually I want to highlight the song is because these are things you're supposed to do with people who are alive, right, before they dead, and stop ripping people down, because that's something that naturally could have been done. Because yes, the crazy thing is Chadwick got diagnosed right when he was about to start filming Black Panther, right? And everybody loved him. Think about all the inspirational movie he's done. You know, remember we talk about our reference to the baseball, Jackie Robinson. Um, he also played James Brown, which I did like to see that he's taking on different roles and the iconic role of T'Challa, Black Panther. But to realize that doing the process of his body deteriorating him, he was ready, willing, able to put it on the floor. So when I'm referencing the Will Smith track the Jonas Lucas track, because it's not Will Smith. Sorry guys, it's Jonas Lucas song featuring Will Smith. The remix, Will Smith was basically saying that on his verse, I want to thank you, Jonas Lucas, for giving me my roses. Right? I appreciate that. I appreciate the fact that I am not dead. I am alive, and you're thinking that I am as great as I am. And me being in my humble presence, I am not. Because in this moment, all the people that has helped to made me great is still here. So I'm still living through their essence. So I'm gonna take this opportunity because you're giving me my rose. I want to give all the people that I think has been a great inspiration to my life their roses, right? And going through Chadwick's history and look at some of the things he's fought for. And I would like to say I would love to highlight it, guys, but I think I like rabbit holes. Pause, just so I can issue that one there. And when I say I like rabbit holes like Alice in Wonderland, I find myself that when I go on these journeys of research, I stumble on things that I find so unique that blows my mind out the water for what a lot of people are trying to do or willing to do or what they have to do to accomplish this goal, right? So I would say this for every one of our listener, I'm gonna beg you before I go a little bit deeper with different things, please do a little bit history check on Chadwick just to see you his history because for one, the thing that blew my spirit is that he had the opportunity to work with Felicia Rashad, and I grew up on Felicia Rashad. So to take the history fact that like my favorite TV mom as is working with one of my young favorite actors, right? And I'm highlighting that, Jen. I'm not sure if you knew that she's the one who helped fund. I don't want to say help fund it because she was his mentor, right? She helped him go to college, and when he couldn't pay for his college degree, she got other actors to help pay for his tuition, and which gave him his second mentor, which helped push his career a little bit further, which is Denzel Washington. So I'm just saying this, going down that rabbit hole, and this was, and I would say this, guys, this is something that was on my heart, and I had a total different way I want to approach Chadwick today. But the fact that I went on this journey and I realized in the essence of me mourning him, I am finding so much joy in his work, in his creativity, um, his vision. Because for one, a lot of people is like, yes, he's African. Well, technically, most Black Americans are, right? Because he's from South Carolina, but he did go back and went deeper into the essence of learning the richness of his heritage. So, and I'll say this: this is a little joke I have with my kids, a little inside joke, because my kids would tell you they're Jamaican because their mom is Jamaican and their dad is Jamaican. But I'm like, nah, you're American. You were born here. Hold that. You know what I mean? That's yours. Take that one. So Chadwick was born here, but he took the opportunity to learn about his African essence, and it enriched him into what he wanted to do with his life and the way he wanted to approach things. So it touched me in so many different ways, and I'm like, man, look at it. I was just touched from Black Panther. Like, you know what I mean? I'm in my house. I ain't gonna lie. I went to church when everybody was wearing regalia. I showed up in church in my Black Panther t-shirt and my jeans pants. I was like, you know what I mean? Wakanda forever. Because for one, in my house with my son, that's an inspiration. In so many different ways. We're talking about a Black king. When now it's I chuckle to say this. We watch Black people being persecuted left, right, and center. You know, Biggie Small made this reference in his song when I was younger, and not saying it didn't stick to my heart, right? It did, but it hurted to know that there's so much truth to the matter. Is that you're nobody till somebody kills you, right? Not saying somebody killed Chadwick because he passed away, a disease killed him, so something took his life. But for us to sit here and is understand the highlight of what he was trying to accomplish, right, during his passing should help us to realize that for every person that we come across in our life right now who is doing something to invoke change, to invoke unity, um, to help. I want to let's take the narrative of just helping minorities, but helping human beings move forward. We need to start pouring into those programs. And I'm not going to say, guys, donate money, but sometimes there's so many different things you can give to help. Right? I'm gonna say this. For example, Janelle is excellent at writing essays, writing up documents. You'd be surprised. Janelle may drop an article on their website that be like, you know what, guys, this is the article that we need. Right? And I'm not saying that that's what she should do, but there are different ways that people could give. Some people think that you throwing money at something is it's the only way to fix it. You'd be surprised because I could say this. I've never grown up rich. And I'm not gonna say I grew up poor, but if there's one thing I would really enjoy in my life more than anything else, is would have been my father being there. You know what I mean? Because half the stuff that I would have bought in those periods, I have no use for now. You know what I mean? That's facts. If I was rich then, I would have probably bought all the clothes, shoes, and games and all that stuff that financial endeavors were gone. And at this age, I had no use for it because I can't fit in it. Right? It's already going to be devalued unless somebody would have made me smart and made me invest in the oil or something. But that's me just drifting off into the deep end of the pool, right? But invoke change. I think that's one of the biggest things that I've been feeling more than anything else. Like now, not saying I'm gonna jump back into the presidential candidate thing, is that we need more unity in the world. We don't need more people to die for us to start defining what unity is. And it's gonna sound crazy to say this. Now, a lot of people is like, okay, the world is more divided now. You want to hear the crazy part is that black people are more together. That is sad. That it's taken so much more killing of innocent black man or black woman and black male, so it's black people in general, for people's eyes are starting to open up like, wow, I need to care about my brother, I need to care about my sister. And it's opening up people's eyes to black women in the sense that one of the hardest working person on this planet is a black woman. One of the consistent struggling person on this planet is a black woman based on the adversities they followed. And then one of the strongest fighting person on this planet is a black woman. Because the majority of the causes that is being fought for now is being fought for by a black woman. So it shows value, but even not just a black woman, we're starting to see value in women in general. Right? But why did it take for the country or for most people to see so much more division before we start uniting? It is sad. I guess sometimes the right concept of something needs to get broke before it fixes. But I don't want to wait no more. I don't want Chadwick drive, his hustle, his mentality to be a waste to the fact that we have to wait for another celebrity or another passionate person who's willing to invoke change in this world to die before we can sit here and be like, yo, I smell the roses, guys. Like, you know what? You're a great person. You did great. You know what I mean? You give my son the opportunity to feel like he can be a king. You know what I mean? And I start by saying you're the first throne that he'll ever sit on is a toilet. So we have fun with things of that nature. But it's that thought, it's that feel, and I want to thank him for that. I want to thank him. Not saying I want to thank him for dying. I want to thank him for playing some of the most phenomenal roles that he's did. I want to thank him for the opportunity just to know that when people think that they got obstacles in general, I know you can very much understand this. When people think that you have obstacles that stops you or should define what you are or who you become, to show that you can overcome it. Because while he was diagnosed with colon cancer, he gave us Black Panther, he gave us the Five Bloods, but I can go down the list, guys. But as I said, the research makes it even better of what he done, doing the opportunity where everybody was like, yo, he should be down and out. He was like, nah, I still find ways to give you more. And then even so, we still find ways to chop him up.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? And
that
go ahead, Janelle.
apparent that he wanted his life to mean something. Apparent that he wanted his his art and his profession and his entire career to become something that people looked at as um, momentous. It's not only inspiring because of what he was going through privately, um, but it's also the perfection of his art. Um, Everything that we saw coming from him was just amazing. Not just for somebody who is sick, but for anyone, the average person in his position, doing what he does, um, or did. That's always gonna sound so weird at this point. Um, yeah, I mean, I think that it's really, I mean, a lot of what you were talking about to begin with is it's the unity, it's the mentorship, it's looking out for our community, and I think that he pretty much got all of that down in his short life, and yes, it was short. You know, although he made it to 40 something, you know, made it to your 40s, it's still short. It was cut short. And, you know, a lot of people talk about the fact that he didn't say anything to anyone. I mean, the directors, the producers, the actors, um, no one knew that he was going through it. And people praise him for his strength um, in staying quiet. And I feel like that's a double-edged sword because I respect people um, who live through their struggles without complaint, right? But I also feel like there's an element to that where um, we shouldn't feel like people need to live through their struggles without complaint, especially people who are sick and going through it. And you know, like there shouldn't be a reason for that. And I think, like I said, it's a double-edged sword. I want to say, yeah, he was so strong, and it was amazing that he kept it to himself. But at the same time, there are reasons why he kept it to himself. Society clearly could not handle it. Society clearly threw his, weight and the things that he looked like at him the same way that we do every few months something comes out about Trick Daddy and it's like, ew, he looks disgusting and blah, blah, blah. I mean, the man has lupus. Like, you can't expect anything more. Um, but, society, like I said, the same ones who will say be kind to others are full of crap. Um, so yeah, I mean, I'm glad that we're giving him his flowers, although he's gone. But on the topic of giving him his flowers, this is the second time that I've seen, something come up about this where someone else actually said it. I said it a few months ago, and I'm not trying to, take away from the conversation about Chadwick, but I just do want to make sure that when we're talking about giving people their flowers, that we mean it.
Mm-hmm.
So I would like to, publicly, although I've tweeted about it already, um, give Jamie Foxx his flowers.
Yes.
um, he is alive and well, and I think that not enough people talk about him and the things that he has done. He's given us like ridiculously momentous roles already, from Ray to Django to, I mean, I was just watching Just Mercy like over and over again when it first came out. Law Abiding Citizen. I mean, he's had such amazing roles and he's perfect in all of them. Like, you can't make any complaints about any of his roles. And he does so much. It's not even just the acting. He sings, like, he does everything. He plays instruments, like, and he does everything perfectly. So I just wanted to throw that out there because hearing, give people their flowers really made me think of him again.
Mm-hmm. And it's funny, Chinoka, you just said Jamie Foxx, and you talk about his flowers, and some of the greatest inspiration that we have right now, Jamie Foxx is tied to. For example, I'm gonna throw one that a lot of people didn't know that Jamie Foxx had a very big role in playing in his career. Is Drake. A lot of people didn't know that. Like when Drake, yeah, it's when Drake was doing his rollout and he needed like that early promotion for the industry people to listen to his music. Jamie Foxx put a party together and put industry people around him, right? And help, I would say, nurture his career during that period. And he also did it for Puffy back in the day. And just saying, he has different artists. He's helped mentor Nick Cannon from Nick Cannon was like 12 or 13 years old. So to see what Jamie Foxx have done and to remember where he's coming from, because a lot of people forget that Jamie Foxx was in the In Living Color. Going back to, we're talking about giving people roses. I'll give the Wayne family their roses because they've given us some of the greatest inspiration over a period of time. We can see Jim Carrey, because I'll say this, I want to give two of my white actors their roses too, in this moment, because I would like to give Jim Carrey one, and for one of my favorite who's dominated the meme world. Like if you don't even know what a meme is, you know what this actor is, and when you see his face in a meme, you're like, wow, this is funny, and you didn't even know that you're even looking at a meme. It's Leonardo DiCaprio. He dominates the meme world. When you look at majority of the person that they use memes for, it's him. And I'll just something funny. he doesn't like social media too much. So when someone looked at him was like, "Hey, do you know that majority of the memes that is used on the internet is you?" He was like, "Really?" So he was flabbergasted by it. But I want to give, we need to give a lot of these people their roses while they're alive. I was happy Jordan Lucas gave Will Smith because Will Smith is mine. You know, like I love Will Smith for so many different reasons. And for me to not switch from Chadwick, but to jump into my next topic, I want to give Adele her rose because low key, I'm loving the fact that Adele is giving shout out to my culture. Like is we have to give props to people who's helped changing other people's lives. I know a lot of people said is saying that, oh, it could have been done better, because I want to give Drake his roses as well, because a lot of people say, oh, Drake is a culture vulture. He's taken from culture, but I want to say it like this: a lot of cultures would have never got looked at if Drake didn't sit here and dabble in their art. And that's just I want to say that, a lot of
Yeah.
cultures would have not got looked at, right? And I'm not gonna say it because I'm very versed in music, but I never started listening to grime music, and I'm not. This is coming from Trevor, until I heard Drake on a grime remix, and that's when I started listening to more grime music, and I was like, oh, Trevor, yo, I didn't know these European boys was rapping like this. So I'm not saying that he's given their culture anything, but he's opened my eyes to what they're doing over there, and I was like, okay. And I will hope for him doing crossover with reggae music or dancehall music. For anybody who's never listened to a dancehall track before, if Drake has caught your ear and he's opening that door, yo, let it be. But everybody who has this opportunity, and I'm gonna say this, I want to give people like, I'm gonna go Jamaican in this sense. I want to give Bun Killer and roses, because a lot of people don't know that Bun Killer as a Jamaican dancehall artist has given more Jamaican youths the opportunity to be millionaires. Like, I love Beanie Man. Beanie Man sing about girls all the time, and I can't take that away. But if you look the amount of quality artists that Bun Killer has put inside of the dancehall careers, it's uncanny. Like, we can even look to this day, like two of dancehall's biggest artists, Movado and Vibes Cartel. Bounty Killer helped push them to the forefront. Actually, I was listening to a Bounty Killer documentary, so that's kind of one of the reasons why I'm bringing it up. We can talk about Busy Signal, Will Marshall, but go back down to his early days, from his Scare Them crew, from Elephant Man, Harry Toddler, and Nitty. But it's to show that, there's people out there who's doing the small work, and because their name is not known or not being seen, that is not out there. And I reference this, because I want to take a little thing from the Bible, right? Everybody used the Bible for all the prophecies that's being read, and we know about all the prophets that done stuff. But I still believe that the work has never stopped there. Not because you don't see it in the Bible, mean that good men and good people is not out there in the world doing great things. Not because it's not being written about, right? And not because the story is not being told by somebody else, and not because we're waiting for that person to die for the story to be pushed in the same narrative. As I said earlier, biggest guarantee you know about until somebody kills you. And then we look at Jesus. Jesus' story didn't get spread as much as it did until after he passed away. But that's a whole nother conversation. But that's one of the reasons why I really want to give Adele some of the props, because yes, she's European, right? And I do see a lot of people getting upset about Caucasians using Jamaican slangs and Jamaican culture, right? But one of the greatest things about being cultured is that we're mixed together, and we never have a problem sharing. You know what I mean? And I want to make sure, we give that. So I like the fact that she's gonna be in an audience with a bunch of people who may not know anything about my island culture to a certain extent, other than from Bob Marley. I say, hey, gal, what go on? I love it. I'm not sure. I'm being selfish on that one. And just as much as I'm selfish, because I had a conversation with someone said to me today, um, do you support the ticket of the Biden and Biden and Harris, or how do you feel about Trump? And I was like, well, to be honest, I'm not really a big Biden or Trump supporter, but I'm very big on Kamala. So why are you big on Kamala? I was like, look, I'm gonna be biased. She's Jamaican. For the fact that my culture is aiming towards the White House, they kind of got me right there. So, yo, love to hate me. I'm biased in that opinion, but it's like, you know what I mean? I like things of that nature. I guess I like antiques, relics that is here to show us that there will be more of us in the future. And for anybody who's willing to do that in this world, yo, so be it. So Adele, yo, keep doing your thing. I always love your music. I've been watching all the new mixes that the Jamaican people have been posting with her. Cause I'm not sure if you saw the one, where she was like singing one of Spice's song.
Mm.
Did you see that one? That was funny. But she was kind of on cue with that one though.
Um, so, all right, let's go back a little bit. A lot of the arguments that are surrounding Adele wearing a carnival costume and Bantu knots in her hair center around Americans, which I find amusing. And um, I I guess you kind of have to look at the difference in perspective, but um, initially my thought was nobody invited you to the conversation. Like, let's be real here. It's not about American culture. It's not about African American culture. It's not about African Americans at all. um, the picture was of Adele wearing a Jamaican flag themed bikini top with feathers that you would normally see on a carnival costume, whether in Jamaica, a Jamaican carnival or Trinidadian carnival or any other Caribbean carnival. And she had her hairstyle was Bantu knots. I didn't honestly even look at what she was wearing on the bottom because it didn't matter. Nobody really cared about that. We just knew that she was repping for the culture. Her caption under the picture was I'm trying to think of it quote like word for word, but essentially what she was saying was happy what would be Nottingham Carnival's day, the day that Nottingham Carnival was supposed to happen, um, and obviously is not happening because of COVID, because of the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I think African Americans kind of jumped into the conversation here because it was like, well, it's cultural appropriation. First of all, one argument was like, you don't need to wear, someone else's culture to appreciate it. Basically she's stealing the culture. And I was like, whoa, 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 whoa. Like here, and this is the problem. You don't know the culture, so therefore you don't even know the argument that you're making is crap.
Mm-hmm.
You're saying that you don't have to wear the culture, but like that is literally, quite literally, what you do at a carnival, at any Caribbean carnival. It is about dressing up. It is about wearing the costumes. It is about representing the culture, um, and having a great time, jumping, dancing, being drunk and jovial. Like that is what carnival is. um there's a huge Caribbean culture in Nottingham in the UK. There's a lot of Jamaicans that live there, and in Notting Hill, I believe, is the community. And to me it was like, had she worn that outfit and that hairstyle um to the carnival itself, no one would have bat an eye. No
That's
one.
correct. No, it's correct.
If she had come to Jamaica and worn that, nobody would have bat an eye. To carnival, I mean. Yeah, I mean, honestly, let's be real. Even if she wore it and it wasn't carnival, I don't think anyone in Jamaica would have bat an eye. Regardless, the same way that white tourists come to the country and get their hair braided and cane rolled and box braids and whatever
Mm.
else. I mean, granted, we laugh at them. Like, I'm gonna keep it real.
Yeah, we
Because
do. X.
it looks ridiculous. Your hair is not even meant for all of that, but at the end of the day, we give it a pass. It's like you're appreciating our culture, and we're okay with that. And the majority of Jamaicans on the timeline were saying the same thing. I mean, it's not that deep. Like, no, like it is completely fine. Like, first of all, Adele can be property of Jamaica just like Rihanna. Like, let's get that straight. And if you did not know, Rihanna is Jamaican, not Bayesian. So just putting that out there. Um,
just so I can help you guys with that one.
letting y'all know. But another argument that came up was about the Bantu knots. I think people, again, African Americans, because they're really the only ones that are, up in arms about this, were complaining that, it's a part of African culture and, it's a part of our culture. And I mean, okay, so I understand that it's a part of your culture, but I think to tear apart the picture is really trivializing it. The picture had nothing to do with your culture, and it has nothing to do with you. And in our culture as well, because we are an African-born culture as well, we wear those hairstyles as well. And again, had she worn that hairstyle on the road in Carnival or even just in the country, no one would say a thing. So you cannot, as an African American, come and try and gatekeep another African culture and say, well, it belongs to us too, so there's a problem here. Because again, the context of the picture had nothing to do with African Americans. It was solely about Carnival and Jamaican culture. However, I do understand that there is a difference between the perspectives of African Americans and Caribbeans when it comes to the fact that slavery, and I was having a conversation about this with a colleague earlier, slavery in America and slavery in the Caribbean were really completely different. Caribbean people went through slavery and kept their culture. We literally kept everything about our culture. When slave masters and whoever else left, the only thing that they really left behind was disease and religion. And what and whatever and whatever homes or buildings they had built, right? But essentially, Caribbean people were the majority, not the minority. And when it came to the slave masters and the slaves, once they left, we kept our food, we kept our cultures, we kept even our our own religions, because there are religions in Jamaica and other Caribbean islands that they kept, including those, as people mostly don't understand, Haitian voodoo, but that is their religion. At the end of it, that is what they believe. Caribbean slavery did not take on the form of being dominated in the way that in the culture, in the way that U.S. slavery took place. And so it's you have to understand, I guess, the way that African Americans feel is that their culture was taken from them in every way. Not only was it taken from them, but at this point in life, at this age and year, it is still something that we are discriminated against for. So had it been in America and someone, in our culture, let me rephrase, in the African American culture, wore the Bantu knots, you would hear that they are ghetto, you'd hear that they are unprofessional, you'd hear that they are, hood rat, whatever the case is, right? Same thing with braids, same thing with cane rows. But at the end of the day, when, white people in America wear things like that, it's cool.
It's cute.
It's cute, exactly. It's cutting edge, it's fashion, right? So when you have a community of people who feel like they have to forever fight for their culture and fight to keep what is theirs, and then you see something like that, I can completely understand the response to it, right? And the response is not going to be the same as a community who kept their culture, everything about their culture. They never had to fight for their culture. It's theirs, and it was always theirs. And it is still theirs, and they are not discriminated against for it. And people do not come and try and take it.
Mm-hmm.
So I understand the difference in perspectives. However, I do feel like that is still something that African Americans need to kind of back out of the conversation about. It's not about you. This was not about your culture, and I understand the anger and the frustration when it comes to black and white racial issues. However, this was not a black and white racial issue. Had it been tailored to the African American culture in some way. Like, for example, had Adele had a photo shoot for Vogue or Elle or something along those lines, and wore high fashion clothing or even average clothing, and then wore Bantu knots in her magazine spread or photo shoot, it would have been a completely different conversation because there would be no context behind the pictures and no context behind the hairstyle. So it's understandable at that point to say, okay, she's trying to infringe on African culture, but also African American culture, as a subgroup, right? This was not that. So the outrage and the uproar that came on social media was really amusing to me. And I don't mean that to sound condescending because, like I said, I understand where it came from. It's amusing because it didn't have anything to do with you. Nothing. I don't know. There were so many arguments surrounding the Adele thing. And I stand with most Jamaicans on this topic where I say I am for it. She's a part of the culture. She's not a part of the culture, but you get what I mean. I mean,
Yeah.
Adele is property of Jamaica, like I said.
And just for a lot of people to understand, when you look into the European culture, hip hop is very popular in America. It's America. Hip hop is America's major music, right? But when you leave and go outside of America, you realize that is something different. Um, in the early 70s and 80s, reggae music was a transcending factor in Europe. If you look up Europe's number one selling groups, and I'm gonna use one artist, Sting, right? Sting actually does a reggae. He has his band is a reggae band. You know what I mean? Not his voice is not reggae, but his music is reggae. So our culture, I'm gonna say the Jamaican culture, dominates Europe in the sense that dancehall is the number one trending music in Jamaica right now, but Rastafari and reggae is still the number one trending music in Europe, which is so much more because when you talk to a lot of the Rastafarian acts in Jamaica about where they perform or where they make majority of their money, they'll tell you they really don't make any money coming to the States. The country that they make money from over this side of the world is Canada, because the Canadian culture, and I would like to say I love the Canadian culture. A lot of people talk smack about them because I guess they said they're still stuck in a backward times machine, but don't hate. They love our culture regardless. I'm just saying, people say that. They love our culture. When you go over to Europe, they love our culture so much more because they get to enjoy two different sides of our culture. And just as much as you have hip hop and R&B, Jamaica you have dancehall and reggae, and then we kind of fuse the both. But when you look at of what we've gone over there and done, it's been very, very, very awesome for us. And plus, Bob Marley at one point was living in Europe, so we have such a heavy residue that's left inside of the European culture, where they embrace us so much more. When you think about our accent, the Jamaican patois, right? That accent was technically, yes, bred in Jamaica, but the native name for the language was given in Europe. I'm not sure if you knew that, that when the accent patois, patois, if you spelt it out, I mean, in its whole entirety, is came from the European slums. And that's when they were like, okay, so where did your accent come from? Or you're one of them guys who came from Jamaica and you lived there, and that British talk mixed with the European lingo kicked in, and it was more like, and as Jamaica's number one thing, we like setting standards. So the instant we realized that we started having our own style, we just started going. We started investing deeper and deeper in it. That's when Jamaica became a culture of slangs, because of a lot of time you go to Jamaica, you talk to people, we speak perfect English. Like we actually revised the Oxford dictionary. That's where majority of how English speaking words come from. That's why we don't spell the same way Americans do. We spell differently. So we add the O's, or sorry, the U's when you guys take them out, just in different ways. But don't judge us. We just went back to the original entirety. But a lot of our stem is from there. Plus, Jamaica was controlled by the British. So we have so much more ties when it comes to the European or the British Union more than anything else. So when a lot of people, and I'm happy you say this, when most people is riding with Adele, you remember, and you said something very, very important in the conversation, that when America was formed and when Africans were brought there during slavery, they lost their heritage, right? The difference is when the Caribbeans were being populated by Africans, right? As a culture, the thing that made us stand out more is that people want to enjoy the culture more than take it away. So when they came to the Caribbean islands, they wanted that Caribbean feel. And what we were given as a culture was that. So we were able to embrace it. And it's gonna be sad to say this, because America was so focused on industrializing this side of the world with manufacturers or factories, right? Or in those days, guys, manufacturer factories names back then were plantations. Just so we guys have the proper name for them now. All right, is the sense that that's where there was mostly being dominated in this side of the world. Is that was the feel. So everyone came here. They wasn't coming here trying to enjoy your culture. And as crazy as it sounds, guys, the Caucasians that was living on the land here at that moment, right? They felt that they were stuck here, and they had to show and embrace their own culture. So to embrace their own culture, they had to diminish whatever culture was left here. And as you can see, the Africans felt it because they had to keep their culture in secrecy, right? And the Indians felt it because they're practically driving them to extinction.
Native Americans.
Native, sorry, oh, I said Indian. I followed it. The Native Americans. Thanks, sorry, Janelle. But
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Drive them to near extinction. So they found way to suppress their culture. So I would say this. This is where I'm happy that we can agree to disagree, because sometimes if you're not living the other life, you can't understand it. Because if I was in Jamaica, I wouldn't understand how the Americans would be feeling now, and that would be bias, right? But because I've lived here, right, and understand the circumstances and understand what American culture itself in the black or in ethnicity in a whole has gone through, I can understand how they feel. This is how when they felt when the Democratic people were kneeling in the kente cloths doing the George Floyd thing, you know. So that was all. It's like, but
Ridiculous, bro. Ridiculous.
but that's basically why they felt the way they felt about that. And guys, I'm gonna say this: I agreed when they felt that way during that matter.
But again, that's why I said context is important, though, because that was directly related to America,
Yes.
directly related to the African Americans in America. So it's completely understandable the outrage that happened at that point. And I mean, I wasn't outraged, but I was kind of turned off. I was like, what the hell are y'all doing? Like, stop it. Um, like, I wish y'all could see my face a while ago when he just brought the topic up. I was like, oh God, that. Um, but yeah, I mean, uh, you know, again, that's what we do. We're bringing context, right? Um, I think like I wanted to talk a little bit about your point that the culture is kind of all over the UK. And I wanted to tie that back into Drake because I am not of the opinion that he is not a culture vulture. I am absolutely of the opinion that he is a culture vulture.
You're gonna give it to him. Like he's stealing it.
No, listen. The UK, like Europe in general, right? They appreciate our culture. They love our culture. When I tell you, to the point where, I mean, just like you said, artists will go to Europe and have such warm welcomes. I mean, performing in Germany and Austria and Amsterdam. And I mean, I see my artist friends all over the place, my producer friends all over the place in Europe when they go, and it's just amazing the welcome that they get, right? But the same way that they appreciate our culture and share in our culture, because let's be real, there are so many, I've seen Germans with dreadlocks, like, and their culture or religion at that point, you'd say, is Rasta, right? They love our culture, and we appreciate the fact that they love our culture. But what they don't do is steal our culture. They appreciate it and they live it with us, right? I know so many Europeans. I mean, I've personally had a German man talk to me only because he realized that I was a Jamaican citizen. Um,
Facts.
and
Facts.
and I will tell you that it's not because I was a Jamaican citizen strictly in that. It was because a lot of, not just Germans, but Europeans in general. And it sounds so wild because I was unaware at the point that this happened, that was the reason behind it. But they will look for Jamaican citizens so that they can get their Jamaican citizenship. It is like, it's mind blowing to me that is actually a thing that happens, because people fight for American citizenship because of the illusion of the American dream and whatever we have to offer over here, which isn't much right now under this administration. But I never thought that it was the same with Jamaica. And when we say that our culture is widespread in Europe, it's not a joke. The same is equally as apparent in Toronto in Canada. And so I completely understand that there is a huge Caribbean base in Toronto, where Drake is from. And there is a lot of people in Toronto that a lot of people in Toronto that appreciate the culture and share in our culture as well. The difference between someone like Drake, though, and someone like Adele, who come from areas or cities or neighborhoods that they grew up in and grew up almost in our culture, is that when Adele did it, she wasn't trying to say that it strictly belonged to the UK. Okay, she gave reverence to the Jamaican flag, understanding that the culture came from Jamaica and went to the UK. It was born in Jamaica. When Drake came, he enjoyed our culture. He enjoyed our food. He hung out with our citizens. He hung out with the artists in Jamaica. He voiced with the artists. He did business ventures with the artists. He went to our parties. And then he went back to Toronto and did an interview where he said that the patois that he speaks and the cultural influence in his music is quote unquote Toronto things. There is a complete difference between sharing in the culture and understanding where it comes from and respecting that and letting the world know that I love Jamaican culture and I love the Jamaican people and this is why I do what I do, than in saying I was born in this city and this is where I learned everything from and it's all about Toronto. Okay, so I completely got turned off at that point. And I do consider him a culture vulture because of that. Had he given the props that Adele gave,
Give some roses.
exactly, and had he said this is because of Jamaica, then yeah, I would have completely understood. But here's the thing, like, uneducated people would have not known at that point that Toronto things means that
Jamaica sitting.
yes, that that it was born from Jamaican culture. Um, because it happened with Justin Bieber as well when he brought the dance crew up here to do his video, and they were dancing dance hall in the video, and people really looked at it and were just like, oh yeah, Justin Bieber, he brought these dancers, and they're doing such cool dances and XYZ. Like, no one knew that. Well, let me rephrase, not no one, but the uneducated and the uninformed and the ignorant, and I'm not saying that in the wrong way, in a bad way. They did not know that it came from Jamaica. So my point is that when you share in our culture, give it props. Because when you don't give it props, it is literally cultural appropriation. You took the culture for yourself and did what you wanted with it. Not do that.
Which is true, because I'm happy you brought up the Justin theme, because Washi's part of Major Lazer. So when Washi working on any form of Justin Bieber production now through Major Lazer, that's nothing but Jamaican. That's how that even came up.
For those who don't know, Walshy Fire is a Caribbean DJ who was born in Jamaica, moved to Miami, went to high school up here, got into the music, and literally is a part of Major Lazer and brought the Jamaican culture along with him. I just had to give like a history lesson because we don't know who knows Walshy and who doesn't.
Hey, so I would say this. Bringing that up, I guess that throws us where we need to be. It's the shadow people.
Oh God.
I'm just saying. That's just, we landed right where we need to land, and just on point. We landed where the shadow people needs to be.
All right, listen. I don't want to give him too much time. I just think we can touch on a couple topics about this man, because like the media has just gone crazy this week about his issues and, I don't know, his delusions. I'm not really sure where he's at in life right now. But yes, let's talk about the shadow people. What's good?
I don't know, where are these shadow people coming from? Normally, I was just saying this in the shadows. I know. Well, the president did say Joe Biden is getting, if he gets in control, that he's going to be controlled by the shadow people. And I just want to say this. I listened to Mike Pence speak at the RNC, and he said he wants to make America great again. I'm gonna need y'all people to fix y'all slogans. Like, if you were in power, we should be great right now, guys. I'm just sorry. So we're gonna need different slogans. You may have to tell the shadow people that they need to write you something new, because that did not fit the narrative. But again with the shadow people, I did know that one of the other things that was talking about, and that we, as guys, as you can tell, we didn't take too much time in politics because there was way more important things. That there will be a presidential debate between Donald J. Trump and Joe Biden. I'm actually looking forward to that. Janelle, you know what I forgot to mention to you? If I remember correctly, I think Jamaica votes for its prime minister tomorrow.
Yep. Elections are tomorrow. They're having their own struggles down there right now because they're trying to accommodate COVID positive people to the polls.
Your voting is important.
I don't know what they're doing honestly right now, because it's driving people away from voting. People do not want to go to the same polling stations and stand up in the same lines and use the same equipment or whatever, machinery or whatever, to vote that COVID positive patients used.
Why didn't you get the shadow people for that one?
Oh man. So okay, let's put a little bit of context behind this shadow people, because we're joking around about it, but Trump came out and said that Biden is ruled by the dark state. I don't know what the hell the dark state is, and so obviously they prompted, what are you talking about? He got stuck in some kind of conspiracy alternate universe where he claims that Biden called up a bunch of people and they all came over here on the plane, and they work in the dark shadows, and they make things happen, and they have a lot of money, and other conspiracy theories, and they're thugs, and I mean, hey.
I'm
Um,
sorry. You hired Cambridge Analytica, bro. It's all right. Continue, Janelle. Continue.
um, so just, again, just putting context to that in case anyone did not hear that was what happened. Our president is out here spouting conspiracy theories about people in the shadows, okay? Um, dark shadow people. I mean, I don't know. Like, there are a bunch of memes going around today about, like, uh, like Gotham, like, people shadows. Like, I just, I'm
Ugh.
over it. Like, he's delusional. Um, yeah. So the final point that I would like to make, I don't know if you have another point, but
No,
um,
good.
Trump, there's a lot of rumors right now going around about Trump and his physical capabilities. And the rumors were basically saying that he suffered from a series of mini strokes. Um, he's claiming that people, I guess someone who was in his administration, I forgot his name, had written a book, and he's claiming that that guy was spreading rumors about him. I mean, there's no mention in the book about him having mini strokes, first of all. He also blamed it on a journalist who doesn't like him, who never said anything about him having strokes. What he said was, there are rumors circulating that he had strokes, and that the president, shut them down, which, I mean, is part of his job. That's what happened, right? Um, Personally, I said this a few months ago on my Instagram that if you watch the president's movements, there's something off about him. And I genuinely believe that something medical, neurologically related is happening with the president. Guarantee you that he will continue to lie about it. Of course, he does not want the American people to know that he is suffering with anything or going through something. However, there's been pictures and videos where people kind of laugh at him because he's not able to hold a glass of water. Um, that was definitely not the first time that had happened. He was unable to lift a glass of water to his mouth and drink the water with his right hand. He needed help from his left hand to do it. Um, it happened as well with a water bottle in another instance. He wasn't able to lift it properly with his right hand. He needed help with his left hand to lift it to his mouth so that he can drink the water. People laughed and said, he forgot how to drink water. Or he doesn't know how to drink water. But if you know anything about medical conditions, there's something off about that. There's decreased strength in your right side, and not just that, you watch interviews or you watch ceremonies, and you'll see that he has spasms at times, like where he can't control his body will jump or twitch. There was also the ramp that he was walking down after he went to the military base, and he was walking so slow and nobody could understand why. But if you watch that walk, you realize that he's putting most of his weight on one side of his body. um, he definitely has decreased strength and instability issues, and that all points to neurological issues. So I don't know if the president had mini strokes. It would be a great explanation as to why he's having so many issues physically. Um, I like I said, I can't pinpoint what it was. There were talks about dementia as well, because neurologically, it does affect your body. Dementia does affect your body and not just your mind. Um, Obviously the brain controls the rest of your body. So if something is wrong with the brain, something is naturally going to be wrong with the rest of your body. There were other, diagnoses that people were throwing around that it could have been. Again, we don't know. All we do know is that whatever happened or is happening to him, he is going to keep lying. But keep an eye out watch his movements, watch the things that he does physically, and you will understand that there's something a little bit off. Um, Another thing that I watched, but I wasn't really too sure if that was a normal occurrence for him, is the way that he moves his lips when he speaks. It's like overpronounced. And I wasn't sure if that was him overcompensating for decreased strength, because again, when you have a stroke, um, it usually affects one side of your body. It doesn't matter what side, whether it's right or left, but it will affect it in terms of, like I said, strength. You'll have less strength in your limbs and in your face as well. If you have a stroke, sometimes like one side of your face goes droopy, um, and you kind of have to like practice getting your strength back to be able to speak properly. The president, when he overemphasizes things, like his lips just do this like funny duck thing that like leans to one side. Anyway, I don't know if that's a normal occurrence. Like maybe he's been talking like that his entire life and it's just weird. But maybe he has also been affected, like I said, in one side of his body. So yeah, that's really all I want to say about that man. He's delusional.
Well, and I'm happy you said something about this because I realize this has been a very big conversation going on with a couple of these presidential candidates. One of the reasons I did like Obama is because he was a younger president. I felt like the strain and the weight of the office wouldn't deteriorate his body as fast as it normally should do. So when I see like Trump is in age and Joe Biden is in age, Bernie Sanders who in age, a lot of these guys who is at age who's trying to run the major seat. I'm like not saying anything. I feel like it should be somebody who's more younger and is more connected because I feel like sometimes when you're too old, it's like you're holding on to a narrative that is already been gone or past. Those things that you're trying to fight for, believe may have come, passed, and been addressed in a different way or in a different part of society, and it's changed. So I kind of strongly do believe that part. But I guess these are the reasons why we are able to put things in context. I think that would be a question I'll leave for anybody at the end. If you guys do think that the presidential seat should be more looked over for by somebody in their I say late 40s, early 50s, at that age group where their body and their mind should be able to withstand the pressure of what the weight of the office may have to offer. That would be my thing. So, guys, that will be a wrap for this week of another episode of Just Context. Remember, like, listen, share, subscribe, and hit us back. Peace.